Hello, everyone, and hope the semester's going well. Dr. Allen here. Thank you all very much for bearing with my, I guess, coughiness last week. Had a little bit of a chest cold. Feeling a lot better now. So if that video was a little off, I do apologize. A few things. One, I'm recording this on Saturday morning. Sorry, I wanted to get it out. So if I'm a little informal on the video, I didn't think it would offend anyone, but got my shepherd hat on. But wanted to get this out kind of as an overview of what we're going to do. The lectures and all are all up. But that being said, I'm going to go ahead and jump on over to our class content and what we're going to do this week and some of the themes and such. Um, One thing, I had a good question I thought that came up this week because I know I had opened the curriculum mapping exercise up last week and it's not due until this following week. And someone had asked, said that some things weren't matching what they like with standards and that the AI wasn't meshing. That's okay. Actually, I don't want to say it's a good thing. That's kind of what I want you to identify. That tells me that you're looking at the two standards. Like maybe AI isn't always what it's cracked up to be. That's part of the exercise. Um, that it's not. That's you can put that in your reflection. So a few things. I'll try not to go into too much depth because I did it last week with the curriculum mapping, but I will highlight a few things. I'm going to leave week two open this week if you need to jump back and look at anything in the old overview or and such. So if you need to go back, no big deal. Um, just a few things with that curriculum mapping exercise. It's due the 14th, and I put some screenshots up as far as like what questions you have to ask. You can kind of go on your own a little bit if there's things you want to know, but really, what the questions are that you need to ask are, of course, it's going to make me do it like that. Sorry, I'm on my home computer in my kitchen and not in my work computer, and this Mac is getting old and it's a little bit painful to do sometimes, but here we go. As you can see, there's the questions. Like you can start doing, let me move my face. Create a curriculum map of seventh grade West Virginia standards. And then you can start asking questions for it to add in. I put some sample ones that I had on there, um, but, and forgive all these things that you're going to see tabs there. There's so many things on this Mac. But, I just want you, I want, I hate to say I want to save you time, but I do want to save you time. So I guess I don't hate to say it, but I want you to let the AI do the mapping and I want you to break it down because I think most everyone here is either teaching or been in the field a lot at this point or are familiar with the aspects of teaching. So I want you to just kind of look and see when you do the reflection, which is down here, like what's showing up, what's not, what is the problem with using AI with curriculum mapping. The map doesn't have to be perfect. Please submit it. I'd like to see what you came up with or what the AI did with you. But you can tear it apart. It's not going to offend me one bit. It's something that I know school districts are using a little more. I think everyone's using AI a little more, and there's a lot of benefits to it, but there's also gaps. And maybe it's wonderful, and you can say, "Wow, I didn't know AI could do all this. It's pretty efficient. It can be a time saver." That's also great. So don't worry if things aren't perfect on the curriculum map. As long as it's trying to align it and you can see it, that's good. If it's but if it's not the standards are old or something like that, that's no problem. But the video up last week goes over the curriculum mapping. If you need it, it's there. Or feel free to email me or stop by my office. I'm in 114C in Canute. So with that being said, that's one thing on the overview. We're going to be in week three, and we're going to kind of look at the investment in students, diverse learning. I should have just put it on here. I basically used UDL to kind of talk about diverse lesson planning. And when I did my PowerPoint, I would, I just don't think it's worth reinventing the wheel. I mean, that's universal design is what most school districts use. It's what even at Shepherd, we're really starting to stress that those approaches of UDL. I'm assuming most people are familiar with UDL, but if you are not, that's kind of what the PowerPoint and the lecture stresses. It's based in UDL. So when you check it out and listen to it, it's about 7 to 8 minutes long. That's the basis of it is UDL. Also, Flat World Education, she's getting into a little bit about the funding issues. I ran into a couple people this week, and I think they were really passionate about the issues that were on the discussion board, which I will say, if you are, we have another class. It's 523, I believe. I've had to teach that. It's been a year or two. It gets into a lot of those issues, and it's yeah, they're important, and I think they're important with curriculum. If we're looking at it, you got to have money too. We were talking about curriculum and mapping. One reason a lot of school districts are starting to use AI is because it's cheaper to use technology sometimes than it is to pay people to do it. I'm not saying there's not issues with that, but the funding of schools, the betterment of schools, and of course it gets into what schools, follow the money, so to speak, where are successful schools always in more well-to-do districts than and such. And I didn't put it on here. I might try to find it if you're interested. It's not required viewing, and it's probably about 15 or 20 years old now, but I always thought it was very, very interesting. If you're familiar with the Little Rock Nine and the integration of Little Rock High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, and the 9 African American students who went into the school, there was an HBO documentary on it, and it talks about how the school would now weirdly, it's still it's a diverse school now, but it's become very chic. I guess that's the right word for it. So there's a lot of well-to-do students, so it's still kind of a school of I hate to say have and have nots. That might not be the nicest way to say it, but there's a lot of students who have a lot of money, and then there's a lot of students who don't. There's not a lot of middle class there. And it still has issues with like the resources that some students are getting in terms of what they get at home versus not getting at home and what the school can provide. It's a very interesting documentary. If I can find it, I will put it up. I'm not doing it justice with the way that I'm babbling here. So I don't want to say anything that's too off in terms of what it's trying to, the message it is, but it's really getting into the breakdown of the socioeconomic aspects of it more than just the cultural aspects of it with that school. And the reason why it's so interesting because that is a school that was a representation of a lot of the Brown versus Board and things like that. And that stuff, money is in everything, and it falls into curriculum, and the lecture makes those connections. And Darling Hammond's her work talks about that a little bit, and that's on the discussion board. I'm rambling a little bit, but I just it is up for the lecture, and as you can see, I think I was rewatching it a little bit, but it does kind of mesh all that in there. So if you need that, it'll be up. Sorry, oh, this is this video. This is the one we want. That video will be replaced with this video that you're watching right now. And as you can see, it's the design for learning, and this will be the UDL, but it also talks a little bit about the importance of funding and things like that. The mapping exercise is still here if you need it, and any breakdown again. Email me if you have any questions. I know some people have already submitted it, so I think, and they looked good. So the two things are you need to have the reflection, and you need to have a copy of the map. It can be a screenshot. Some AIs just let you copy the charts. Either one works. However you submit it is fine. Discussion is there. I will say it is mostly on chapter 5, and I know that was the only reading. I might reference, I do in the lecture notes a little bit. I kind of jumped. I was reading 6. I was rereading 6. So if you catch any aspects that they connect, the discussion board is all 5. But if you hear on anything with the PowerPoints and podcast, it may have some little bit references to chapter 6. And as you can see, if you prefer the podcast over the videos, it's just a lot of the same content, just a little more in depth. You're welcome to check it out. They're based on my notes. And actually, they did a pretty nice job, like getting everything connected there. Also, here's the lecture notes if you need them for the UDL. I'm sorry, the PowerPoint. So it's up. That's what the lecture is based on. You are definitely welcome to kind of check everything out there. And anything else that I was trying to make sure that I included this week? Again, lectures up, UDL, lecture notes. I'm sorry, I do have lecture notes all here if you need them. It's not showing. I've been having a little trouble loading the lecture notes I had from the readings. When I read, I type at the same time sometimes, and I was trying to clean them up a little bit because there were some typos and some funky wording. It wasn't letting me load it. I'll make sure that is up before I release this. I'm going to try to get this open for everyone on Sunday morning. So if you want to get a head start. Also, I put an interview with the author up. If you're interested, it's on YouTube. I'll click it, but I'm not going to play it. So it just there you go. It's just got a little bit. Um, that's the actual reading one. There's actually a video, I believe, in there. If it is not, I will make sure to get that up too. She's a very famous education policy expert. I mean, I think her book's actually very good and very readable. Um, we're going to get into, I think it's kind of the fun stuff, but we're going to look a little bit at the international stuff next week and how some international curriculum has influenced U.S. curriculum and vice versa. The US UDL stuff is up. Those are the lecture notes. That's just what the lecture and the PowerPoints are. It's just in more of a lecture note form. This is what the PowerPoints are based off of. And PowerPoints are there, lecture and PowerPoint. Oh, lastly, diversity. Not a requirement. I did not put it on the syllabus as a requirement. A lot of people find this interesting, so I wanted to leave it. I put it in there just in case you wanted to check it out. Howard Zinn is a very famous person who got into the diversity issues in education and just in the United States. He's passed on, but he has something called the Zinn Project, where they have a lot of different lesson plans that are based on diversity, and they're in all content areas. I'm a social studies guy. He has a lot on social studies, but they have ones on um, science and things like that. You can do whole searches. Again, not required to do or anything like that, but if you want to check it out, I know a lot of people are teachers now. Well, you're going to all be teachers, but if you're actually in the classroom now, it's probably a better way to phrase that. You can go ahead and check that out. But he's very popular. If you've ever seen Good Will Hunting, there's a scene where Robin Williams goes in and he hands Will a book and says, "You need to read this People's History of the United States." That's Howard Zinn. I think he actually references them Zinn by name. But there's some stuff here. You can check it out. There's also some stuff on Native American mascots and things like that, if you're interested in that. But again, none of this is actual requirements, but I just put it on there because I had the materials from some other classes and I thought it kind of related to a little bit of diverse lesson planning. I think that should be it. Everything should be up. Again, I'm going to leave week 2 open in case you need to go back and look at anything related to the instructions for curriculum planning. Also, I'm going to make sure I'm trying to get ahead of the game a little bit. I'm going to make sure that all the other assignments are all listed under assignments this week, just so you can get the notifications that they're approaching. You don't have to worry. We're a week-to-week class, but I like to have them in there just so if anyone's a big planner. Um, I was kind of building this from scratch, and I think I got a little bit of rhythm now with the class. So not your problem, my problem. But um, so with all that being said, again, the work's been great. The discussions have been great. It's been nice actually seeing some people and talking about some of the stuff in class. I ran into some people this week on campus, really liked it. So with all that being said, please make sure you do watch this week's lecture and you get that curriculum planning and the discussion. So I guess if I was going to say do 3 things, watch the lecture, this one. I would say watch the overview too. How about 4 things? Watch the overview, watch the lecture, make sure you get discussion 3 done and curriculum mapping done. Those are your big 4. Everything else is optional, but hopefully it'll help you out if you want to go in a little more in depth. So with all that being said, hope you have a great, great week. Thank you for bearing with me being a little informal today. I was out doing some yard stuff and I wanted to get this out and get it done. And I was like, I still live if I'm just wearing a shepherd hat and a t-shirt today. I don't sound so coffee. So have a great week. I'm babbling and I'll see you next week.